everyone, I'm Claudia from Daphne's. So welcome back if you've been following me for a while on my recovery journal, or welcome anyway if you've never seen me. And you might be wondering, since I never said my actual name on here, why is it called Daphne? Is it called Claudia? Well, first of all, it is one of my names. I actually have three names. It's pretty weird. And secondly, I'm a DID system. I have alters. It's a long story. So one of my authors is called Daphne, and I kind of tried to dump all of these problems with food on her for a while. But yeah, the main reason for all of it is me. So it was kind of right that I was the one to do this video. Because on the last poll I did on what to do with this channel next, since I don't feel like I really need that as a crutch to keep eating anymore. A lot of you answered that you would like a few videos on like my experience with an eating disorder and how it was like and how recovery was like. So I thought I should start this little series with kind of like how I got into it, what happened, because of course some people might be more predisposed to it genetically and like mentally. There are a lot of studies saying that especially people with anorexia and like also I'm not really diagnosed with anorexia, but atypical anorexia, with in itself is a little bit messed up, because they pretty much said, oh yeah, you act anorexic, but you're not quite skinny enough to be anorexic, so yeah, you're that. So that was not great as well. But anyway, there are studies saying that we tend to be more perfectionistic and more there's like type A personality, that everything has to be perfect, and that's what kind of leads us in this thing of having to control our bodies and what we eat to feel good. But that's not really all there is, right? For me, but a lot for other people as well. There's kind of a lot of factors that play into it, and how we were raised and what happened around that, and it has an impact, has really great impact. So this is my story and what got me to it, and I hope someone can relate to it. I'm not trying to get compassion over anything, of course, but you know, just a little picture or what happened before, so you can understand more of how I got to recovery and what I did to get out of it. Well, first of all, I was kind of traumatized by food quite early in life, because my father tried to poison us all when I was 4.5, and my mom was in a coma for like 6 months. So since I pretty much survived by rejecting food, that kind of stuck to me for a while. I got better in a much shorter time than when I developed atypical anorexia. So I don't have RFID. I'm not diagnosed with it because that's not what I really have, and you know, that was just when I was little. But still, it was kind of a big factor in developing atypical anorexia, because it was like way easier for me to like give up food, because I wasn't that attracted to it in the first place. I have this kind of mistrusting like relationship with it, and yeah, that might be the first cause. But probably the most important one is that even before that, but especially after she got better and she was the only parent I had, my mom was pretty much an almond mom, like very hardcore, and not just with food, with like everything. She believes strongly in homeopathy, like to the point where I had to have 41 degrees Celsius, I'm using metric by the way, I have to have more than 41 degrees to even think of giving me paracetamol or any other kind of medicine. So it go on with homeopathic remedies for forever. I was always sick, and yeah, it wasn't the best. And the main things she did with food was, first, I did not have any kind of meat, like at all, until I turned 5. Like completely. I was completely raised without meat, and not even like because she thought I might have some kind of reaction to it because she had proof, or you know, because she was a vegetarian herself, or I I don't know, for health concerns, but like telling me that that was not meat. She straight up lied to me and told me Satan was meat for the first 5 years of my life. And you know what? Once she finally did give me meat, I was completely flabbergasted and pretty much refused meat for a few years beyond that because that was not meat for me. And yeah, so that's also one of the reasons why for most of my childhood I had a deficiency in proteins, which is pretty rare in a developed country, but I managed to do it. Then she would cook completely without fat, like without any trace of fat. She did use oil to cook, butter was the devil's spawn, and the only circumstance where she would use fat is to use a whole of like extra virgin olive oil raw on salads. Like she would dump the whole thing. I don't know why, since she didn't like fats, but yeah, that's also one of the sensory things I hate the most till now. I can't stand like drenching salads in oil. That very bad memories. Then she would also not let me have any milk. She did let me have a cheese and tried to give me a lot of cheese. I don't know why, but milk for some reason was a no-no. She kind of convinced me that I was allergic to it, which kind of is true because I'm kind of lactose intolerant. It depends on the period of my life. It goes in waves through the years. But yeah, I was kind of convinced for at least 10 to 11 years of my life that I would have an anaphylactic reaction if I ever had any milk. So yeah, that was that as well. It was kind of sketchy. Then of course you would have incredibly small portions that never left me full, and I would have to ask for seconds, and then she would call me a pig and of the very funny stuff. And we weren't very supposed to eat after like 7 p.m. because we would have dinner after 7 p.m. and we wouldn't hear the end of it if we ate afterwards. So yeah, that was pretty much how I grew up, and she didn't just try to implement it on me. Of course, it was the whole household, on me, on my sister, and on herself as well. Like, skip here if you don't want to hear numbers, but she's in her 60s now, but she was like this even before, like since I was little, and she's like 40 kilograms for like maybe now 165 centimeters, but she used to be taller because she has back problems now. That is the extremely underweight BMI. Like, yeah, there might be some little problems with her way of eating. Despite all of it though, despite everything I ate since I was little being very extremely controlled, due to my constitution, due to the fact like I have big bones, I have a big rib cage, and I'm just made like this, and also I exercised a lot. I was a competitive swimmer from like 8 to 16, so for a big part of my childhood, and also I developed pretty early, like at 10 years I was pretty much like I am now, just about 10 centimeters less tall. So I was a big kid all throughout my childhood and my early teen years. I was just big and I couldn't do much about it. I was taller, I was a bigger build, I had more muscles, a little bit more fat too, of course, but I was just a way different size than anyone else my age, and they kind of threw me through stripes because of it. I was, firstly when I was 4, I was rejected by a ballet school because I was too fat to a 4-year-old. So yeah, I started with that, and then I was bullied like out of existence all throughout middle school, both a little bit at school but also in my swimming team, because you know, especially in competition like areas, if you're not like the others, you're of course worse, and then they used my body to kind of justify the fact that I wasn't good enough in my times, and I wasn't as good as the others when there are other reasons for that, like the fact that I have asthma, and you know, didn't have the best times, but I didn't have the worst either. But I was the one they picked on because, you know, I was bigger. So there was that all throughout middle school. So by the time I reached high school, I wasn't bullied anymore because everyone was kind of scared of me. I don't know. I was kind of intimidating, especially because I always been the best of my, not only class, but like year for all of our school. I did a lot of things. They kind of looked at me weird, but I wasn't bullied anymore, definitely. But I was kind of already there with my mentality. I didn't like the way I looked. And another thing that probably contributed to it, as I said, was developing the ID and kind of having a lot of body dysmorphia within my alters for how the body looked. And yeah, everything together which kind of led to how I developed the atypical anorexia. And I started kind of between the last year and a half of middle school to the first 3 or 4 years of high school. I kind of started skipping meals, mostly either by hiding food or giving food away to my classmates, which actually made them like me more. So I mean, at least something good out of it came. I didn't really purge, fortunately, because going into bulimia as well would have been horrible. But I did over-exercise a lot, and as I said, at 16 I stopped being a competitive swimmer, so I didn't really have that going on for me all the time. So I kind of started doing like more gym-like exercises and abs and things that I started hating more and more because I just did them to lose weight. I wasn't in a competition anymore. I wasn't doing something for fun, but yeah, just to lose weight, which kind of led me to a bad like relationship with exercise as well. And again, skip here if you don't want to hear numbers, but like the lowest weight I ever reached when I was about 16 to 7, about 16 I'd say, was 55 kilograms, which with my current height, which was what I already was because I stopped growing at about 13, was not really underweight. I was right on the cusp between normal and underweight, but it was still very unmanageable. I only got there by eating absolutely nothing, between 500 and 900 calories a day, because my body always thought losing weight so much, and only eating that little, despite not losing that much weight, already has terrible impacts on your metabolism. It completely destroyed my metabolism. I was feeling exhausted and fatigued like all the time. I started having like severe GI issues and also nail issues that still haven't gone away completely. They would just peel off completely and be disgusting. I had hair issues. Mine started to growing again to a decent length only very recently after years of recovery, because they just wouldn't go beyond certain length, which I only realized in the latest year of high school, because before being a competitive swimmer I just cut it. But yeah, that was a problem too. I had skin issues as well, and overall, even reaching that weight, I would have to say most of that lost weight was just muscle, because I stopped, as I said, being a competitive swimmer and eating that little, plus exercising mainly aerobically, because that's what I could do on gym-like exercises. Just leads you to lose muscle, and that's not good, that's not healthy. And yeah, when I was about 17 to 18, I finally realized that was not the case. I mean, that was all I knew. That was something that kind of made me feel good, because it made me feel in control of what I was eating, which kind of broke me away from the control my mom was having on me. It made me feel good that I could control how my body looked, which people bullied me for years on. So your ED kind of gives you a sense of control, a sense of happiness, because you have a realization, a target to your life. But if you think about how many things it takes away from you, you will realize sooner or later, when you're ready for it, that it's just not worth it. And especially for me, it couldn't have been worth it, because I couldn't even reach my target goal. It was never a thing that would happen for me. So yeah, about around that age, I realized that I couldn't go on for this like this for very long. So that's where my recovery journey started at. It was a very long one, because I'm 23 now and I still have this channel. So this is it for this first video, and I'll see you in the next one, maybe next week, to talk about how I managed to get better very slowly, but slowly but surely. Let's hope so.